For the past 5 years, I've been teaching a first year course called Microeconomics 1, huge first year course with around 250 students, and a third year undergraduate course called Advanced Micro. In both cases, I've tried to make the lectures and the classes as interactive as possible, but I've achieved this in very, very different ways in the two courses, given the very different needs. The first trouble, or the first problem to solve, especially with Micro 1, was to get the very, very basic rules in the classroom right, such as discipline, and then building on that, continue on to more deeper types of knowledge and better forms of interaction. So when I took over the course, the first things I did were paradoxically to completely remove all problem set solutions from the web and make them unavailable to students for both courses. This proved a key thing to improve both attendance, which was a huge problem on the course and throughout the department, and improve interaction in the lecture. In fact, in the lecture and in the classes, in fact, students had a much stronger incentive to come and to listen to what I was saying, because they wouldn't find ready solutions on the web just to memorize and try to apply at the final exam. The second thing I did was to leave the lecture notes on the web for my first year micro course, although with gaps typically, and make them available from day one, all of them, for all 11 weeks of teaching, to all students. This proved also quite useful because on the one hand, students would have the whole set of lecture notes and they wouldn't feel compelled to write frantically down everything I had to say or copy the diagrams in a sort of a desperate, hurried fashion. They would simply they would be able to have the basic outlines of all the ideas already in front of them, and they would just add a few notes close to the printout of the lecture notes that they would bring to the lectures. And leaving the blanks at the same time would still make them feel A, the need to come, and B, the fact that it was good to listen to what the lecturer said. The slides would also be, the lecture notes would be exactly the same as the ones I would project. And concerning projection, another small trick that proved very, very useful was moving away from PowerPoint. Because in order to make PowerPoint as visible as possible, you had to switch off the lights. And this, if discipline is one of the problems, I think switching off the lights is not the best idea. And instead I used transparencies, which also gave me a lot of flexibility in terms of sometimes changing the order of the topics, which also improved interaction and attention, because they wouldn't feel like there's a set order of things that map one-to-one between the things shown on the board and whatever you have in front of you. Another thing that I sort of realized was quite useful in order to capture people's attention was to, every 10-15 minutes, either put a slide not available on the web with a question on it, and then give them a couple of minutes to work out the answer, and then ask randomly the answer to the question to somebody in the audience. Or to just stop whatever I was saying and ask a question randomly, possibly on the things I just said. And again, this has proved very effective both in terms of interaction and in terms of improving the discipline. This may all seem extremely basic, but in a first year course, I think this was, in a sense, getting the basic rules of interactions and capturing people's attention was really the very first aim. In a third year course, which is an optional course and a difficult one where students self-select, it was much easier in a sense, but still we wanted to improve discipline and interaction. So there, instead, I have never handed out lecture notes and made it a point that they were expected to come. And if they couldn't come, or they wouldn't feel like coming to the lectures, they would have to work through a textbook, which is perfectly fine. This is an advanced course, and students are supposed to have already developed not only a self-discipline, but also the ability to think creatively and address complex problems. And again, problem set solutions will not be available.